Welcome to Local SEO Tactics, where we bring you tips and tricks to get found online. I am producer Caleb Baumgartner, and in this episode, Bob and Jesse interview digital marketing specialist Keith Evans of UpHero, who provides great insights into the psychology of marketing to clients and so much more. This episode may be longer than average, but it provides fantastic information. Stick around to the end for an exclusive offer you won't want to miss. Thanks for checking us out and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Local SEO Tactics, where we bring you tips and tricks to get found online. I'm your host, Jesse Dolan, here with Mr. Bob Brennan again.
Howdy.
And we got a third person on the call here this week. Yep, he's looking around. This is Mr. Keith Evans here, conversion, click-through rate expert, and SEO pro as well. Thanks for jumping on, Keith. I'm glad to have you.
Hey, guys. Hey, what was this show about again? I thought this was going to be talking about The Bachelor and CJ and Stephanie gave the rose. I think I'm on the wrong show.
Yeah, no, this is about SEO. I mean, you can still hang out if that's cool with you.
Oh,
but
okay, it's fine. All right.
That's
I'm good. That show's coming up next. I watch that. So
yeah, no, you're a super busy guy. A lot of interviews, we understand. So we'll keep this short and sweet for you.
This is much sexier than The Bachelor.
hey, there's only one reason a 40-year-old man watches any of those Fantasy Island, G-Boy. It's bikinis, okay? All right? It's bikinis.
You're not really that interested in the storyline, you're saying? Like the plot of it all?
We're just getting started. We're going to have a good show today.
I think I forget what I was listening to. It might have been an NPR deal or something, but somebody was referring to shows as time merchants, right? They're looking to buy your time with your entertainment value. And look, to what you're saying, Keith, it's like sex sells, right? We just tune in to the show to ultimately get to the commercials, right? To get marketed to. So that whole psychology of it is interesting. And didn't do this on purpose, but that's really one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on today for this is to dive into a lot of psychology that's really behind some of the marketing, some of the things we do. A lot on this show, we talk about actual local SEO tactics, right? Things to get found, whatever. In this episode here with you, Keith, we're going to talk about not so much directly SEO tips, but if you are getting exposure and found, how do you get more traction, right? How do you get more clicks, things like that. So we're going to dive into all that. Before we do, I am going to introduce Keith officially, kind of read some of his quick bio so you all know why he's on here, why you should listen to the things that he's going to spout out here today and drop some good knowledge for us. Before we do that, I do want to mention to everybody, if you haven't yet, go on out and use our free instant SEO audit tool, localSEOtactics.com, top right corner, yellow button, click it, punch in your web page you're going to audit. This is page by page. Enter in your page, enter in your keyword, and it's going to spit back a PDF report that gives you the good, bad, ugly, and kind of a good punch list on some things you should start doing. If you need SEO help on your website, use that totally free as many times as you want. Check it out, localSEOtactics.com. Keith, you are a rock star in what you do. Let's let people know a little bit about where you're coming from, what you're doing, and why you are at that status. So I should say first, we got introduced through a colleague years ago that recommended you, right? So that's always a great piece of edification when you're recommended by somebody else. I've also attended a number of the last couple of years, online seminars and in groups. Seen some of your presentations, always thought it was just great stuff. Again, it's a little bit SEO, a little bit more the psychology, which it's not all just what are the backlinks and the keywords, right? There's just so much more to the online marketing. And I think you bring a lot of that into this space where not a lot of the people are talking about it. Some of your background here, just kind of reading a little bit off your bio, 20 plus years in web design and marketing, which there's a lot of people that have been doing this for a couple of years that don't quite understand how it evolved, how these things matter to business owners, right? Instead of just gaming Google. And so I think that's super important to mention, the having a history that deep into it. Lets business owners and marketing managers out there know that you know a thing or two. You're not just designing websites in your mom's basement, right? So
Don't bring up 1998. Okay.
I'm actually gonna get to 1998 here at the end of your bio because I've got a question that I'm super curious about. So just to warn you there. But no, in 2001, like a lot of us, you started getting into SEO, on-page HTML. Google started being a thing, and just a lot of traditional marketing started to kind of pivot there. You worked at Dex Media. Was it even Yellow Pages while you were there? Maybe speak to that a little bit about what that was about.
when the recession hit for 08, 09, I was in marketing as a webmaster and doing sales, but the sales went to crap. And so you're like, hey, you're fired. Ooh, right? And so I'm like, oh my gosh, where am I going to get a job at? But a friend of mine got great benefits, loved helping small businesses. And I'm like, okay, I'll go work there, but I'll maybe go get my master's degree. But I soon found out that I really tapped into my passion of helping small businesses and just love marketing. And so at that time it was Dex Media, then it went to Dex, and then it went back to Dex Media. And now they have something called Thrive, and they're selling software as a service. And yes, I think somewhere, hiding over here. Here's my local book. It
What is
gets
that?
thinner and thinner every time. I have to have now 25 of these stacked up in order to get my monitor up this high. So
instead of 2 or 3 like back in the day, those nice big thick ones. Which is crazy to think about, the evolution of marketing. Like that was a thing. I know, Bob, when you started your business 25, 26 years ago, I mean, placement, naming convention, the psychology here of a yellow pages listing, right? Just translate that and fast forward into today, a few things have changed, right?
Triple A key and lock, right? Aardvark HVAC.
Right. And I love seeing those today, even still, like you just drive by like AAA storage, right? As an example. That business is not new today. That thing's been around for a while, just by seeing that. So if you know, you know.
And that's the reality of why people join into, your show, is we're going to give them little competitive advantages that really won't cost you any money, right? If you understand the psychology of a human and what's going to get them to trigger and bite, why did they go with AAA? That's because in the phone book, it was the first thing, AAA, and that's exactly what the human would do. They'd turn to locksmith and they would start calling first. That's the same thing on Google. At guaranteed ads at the top. Then you got the map. Then you got organic. The higher you are, the more likely to get the click.
Yep. No, it's the more things change, the more they say the same, right? In a lot of ways, it's just a different media, some different tactics. I do want to get back to your bio, though. I said I had something about 1998, 1999. I was snooping on your LinkedIn, and you worked at Radio Shack.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us how awesome that was. If anybody listening doesn't know what Radio Shack is, just go Google it. You'll find some historical pictures. I don't know if it's still around. I did a lot of shopping at Radio Shack, working on stupid projects, car audio, things like that. It was an amazing store. I loved it around that time. What did you do? Just sit there and play with remote control cars all day? Or what was it like to work there?
I mean, oh my gosh, how many remote control cars did kids in the 80s go through that came from Radio Shack, right?
Right.
And we're talking like double D batteries. And I'll just say, what is the deal with you had to give up your phone number just to buy batteries, right? And have your phone number? You're like, no, right? They were one of the first to really go after the customer service market. And Radio Shack at that time, I was into sales. They had a whole AT&T phone department, or maybe it was even Sprint at that time. Cell phones were a big thing. And I'll never forget, the Titanic movie came out, and then we were asked to convert people to Sprint. And you know how hard it is, like people calling you saying, would you like to change? So what we would do is, when they come to the counter buying whatever, I would take it was like a 3-pack of the Titanic, right? So you got DiCaprio and, his lovely girlfriend, and you would throw it on the counter and you would say, hey, I'll give you a Titanic on DVD if you switch over to Sprint. We sold so many that they did an audit of our store. They're like, what are you guys doing, right? Nice. It's all presentation, right? You hook them on the emotion. Oh, Leonardo, I need to have you in my bedroom, right? And bam, they were switching left and right.
Cool.
Awesome. That's like I know, Bob, you're appreciating that. Like, this isn't just like SEO tactic. That's some hardcore, like actual sales, right? Type stuff.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't appreciate Leonardo, whatever his name is?
Yeah. Right. So yeah, That's interesting. Again, for all of you younger, check out Radio Shack. It was an amazing store. Gone but not forgotten. All right, I digress though. Let's get into the actual thing we're talking about. I think there's some great tie-ins there, by the way. I mean, that all does make sense for what we're talking about here, but CTR is what we're talking about here. Keith, let's just start there for everybody that's listening. Again, marketing managers, business owners. We've got 120 some episodes. We've talked a lot about SEO, local SEO explicitly, helping you get found online, tactics, strategies, keywords. What is CTR? We've never talked about it as a topic here on the show. So let's just start there at the basic level. If you can give everybody the quick nickel tour on that.
CTR, this industry loves acronyms, especially 3-letter ones.
Oh yeah.
Click through rate. And really what it had come from, it comes out of like when you run an ad, especially off of AdWords, or any time that your message is appearing to someone, especially if you can track the session or the impression, what are you trying to do? Just even think about the billboard as you're driving down the highway. They don't necessarily have a CTR, but they do have some way of saying 80,000 cars drive by. How many times do people click or call that specific phone number? And that's what it's about, the click-through rate. So if I see your message, I see your ad, I see you, maybe you're ranking number 5 on Google, what is the chances that I'm more likely to click on you? So if you want, I can even take over the screen. I can show you, we can dive deeper into blah, 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 blah.
Anybody listening on the podcast, this is another one that's gonna be good to jump over to the YouTube. Keith's sharing his screen. He's going to walk us through some actual examples. We'll try to talk through them as well, but for sure, this is something where you're going to get even better value if you switch over to the video, just to let everybody know.
And we are going to talk in descriptions. Okay. So I'm going to zoom up in here. And so let's just say you just did a search for bathtub refinishing. Right away, you're going to see your guaranteed ads at the top, and you don't have a lot of control what you can say in this area, but in the true AdWords area, you do. And what you really going to key in on is, what are these guys saying to get your attention, right? All those sales buzzwords. So one of the first ones we see is called Refinish First. They put their phone number at the top. They say premium bathtub refinishing, unlimited 10-year warranty. They're also capitalizing the first letter of each word. Then they have right out of the guns an offer: save up to 75%. Give us a call today. Local Idaho company, quick completion. Then you get to see more about their hours and their address as well, which shows you that they're truly local. What that advertiser wants to do is to get you to click and to convert. So you can actually go into, let me jump over here a second. I'm going to dive into a AdWords account, because this is where most people, if you do any managing, even Facebook or PPC, it's defined right on the page. So this is a denture advertisement, and the headline says implant supported denture sale now open in Boise, save 15%. The data over the last 2 weeks, it had 339 impressions, but 32 times someone clicked directly on that ad. And that's where you calculate a 9.44, and that is the actual CTR. What's cool to do on this, and why CTR is important, is you then compare it to other ads, right? So this basically says kind of the same thing, but a different headline. It's targeting the same people. And let me just make sure I don't put my foot in my mouth. Oh, this one was on implants, correction. Let's see if we get the other implant ad. Well, that was, darn, it's a bad example. We're
doing this on the fly, just so everybody knows.
Here we go. Better example. Here's a 4% click-through rate, where the headline says affordable quality dentures save 15%. Targeting the same people during the same time We change it to affordable quality dentures, only 365. Now the CTR, do you think it went up or down? It went down.
Yep.
Wow.
That higher price of 365 scared a bit more people. Saving 15%, oh, okay, then they're going to be more likely to click. But if you take a little bit closer look here, I'm going to just zoom in. But this is just a great example of data directly within AdWords, targeting dentures under a general search, and then the same timeline where it didn't get as many clicks. So
And
that is how
pretty
you
similar
use,
impressions there too, Keith, right? Just so everybody knows, that wasn't
Yeah,
like
it's
one
very-
ad was super exposed versus the other. Those are pretty level stats.
right.
For
So this is the
impressions.
kind of data that experts like me, we want to look at. And it really does kind of boil down to the marketing psychology. What are the words I can use to motivate you to click? Well, you don't even have to spend any money with AdWords and you can still benefit with CTR. So for example, if you scroll down the bathtub refinishing, if we just go down in the regular organic results, one of the top finishers, the headline has the city, then the product, mentions a second city, and then it says reglazing in a day. Oh, you can take care of this today, right now. What else? What do you notice like within this ad and this information, Jesse, that stands apart compared to what else is on the page?
Well, right away I go to where that they've got the stars, the asterisks, if you will. Take a pic, get a quote now. I mean, I'm looking for fast action if I'm looking for something
Right.
online. So that jumps out to me right away.
And by doing that, those are all the kind of tricks that you can do when you put your title. That's what this is called. This is the blue title. You can control that totally on your website right now. And then you can control your description. Now, we do know Google's been a jerk recently. They've been messing with titles and descriptions. However, if you feed the right information in there, especially on what the user is looking for, you're more likely to get it to appear. So I can just even jump over and open just a brand new document just to kind of give you an idea of what I do for customers and to help improve that CTR rate. So let's copy that puppy in there. Whoa, slow down, slow down.
As you're pasting this in, Keith, I've got a question for you. People might be hearing you say, Google will rewrite your titles and your descriptions. And you kind of said something. If you see if this is either true or maybe expand on your impression on it. If you do a good job on matching your title and your description with the intent, what you're to be found for, everything else, would you say Google's only rewriting that stuff when it thinks it knows better than you, right? Like if you have good intent and you're pretty close on it, odds of your stuff sticking versus getting replaced are probably a little higher.
Yeah, especially, and here's a little secret squirrel tip for you guys, especially if your title and your H1 are kind of similar. Now the H1, you can also modify that on the page. And part of one of my solutions that I'll extend to you, you can take advantage of with Jesse, is I'll help you create an awesome H1. Google sees that connection, right? But this is the other reality. You have to sometimes step back. And we in the industry have this love-hate relationship with Google because who are they, right? They have all this stacks of information and it's just a data retrieval machine, but they're serving you at the end of the day. So they really want to say, aha, did you really mean bathtub? Did you not mean claw bathtub? Were you talking shower? So that's why they try to, using their technology, outsmart the human and again, give you, this is what they'll say, right? Give you a better experience. Because at the end of the day, if you as the human, whether you're on your phone, on your tablet, sitting behind the desktop, you want the best results and the best information, and you have to trust Google. If you start to lose that trust, then you're going to go do something else, right? So many people are already now just on Facebook and they say, hey, does anyone know a good painter? And what do you see? Oh yeah, call Clyde, call Rich. You know, they're missing out on those sales opportunities because of trust in delivering the right value to you, the user.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Here I just had pulled up, I copied directly off of the SERP, the title and the description for this particular business, Boise Bathtub Refinishing. And just like what Jesse said, there was asterisks just within 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth the word in, which makes it pop off the page. So you can do that. And one thing you definitely want to learn from to make your title and description better is actually learn from Actual AdWords itself. So you can just go snag this information from the ad and any of your advertisers and think about this. Go search your company in a larger metro area. That's where it's more competitive. And don't overlook ads that also appear way at the bottom. These companies are spending millions of dollars, especially Miracle Method. That's a franchise. They probably have a pretty good idea what you want. So by taking this information, copying it, and then put it off on a document, this is going to allow you then to say, okay, what are they doing different to get attention? So for example, instead of doing the asterisk like in this, you can do parentheses. What does that do? It now looks like it's a circle, looks like it's a button, and you're more drawn to it. The Boise Refinishing example also uses all caps. Don't be afraid to use things like a double hyphen. Oh, whoop, that is the wrong button here. An extended hyphen. You can even do an extended hyphen and then get clever with a greater than and less than, right?
Sure.
And then you can do it backwards. Oh, I made you look here. That's the whole idea. You can even get really tricky and you can do something like this. Call now and get a free. Oh, that's it.
Cliffhanger.
What? What am I going to get? I got to click on it, right? Those are the tricks of the trade to make that happen. The other thing you can do too is you can experiment with emojis. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, so I'd have to copy and paste, but one of the most clicked emojis, or the one that got the most attention, do you know what it was? I think this study was in 2019. Do you know what it was? And don't say eggplant, it's not eggplant.
Well, I don't know what to say then. That was my only answer.
Unicorn? I don't know.
Octopus.
Really?
Yeah. Now, do I trust the data? I don't know. I read it online. It seemed reasonable, right? But one of the
that's because Hydra still exists. Hail Hydra.
Let me grab something over on my other screen, or actually, screw it. We'll just have a fun ride here. So show me the heart emoji. I'm not smart enough to know exactly how to type and code, but I can steal stuff all day long like a good marketing guy. So if you put a heart emoji in, bam, that'll probably stick. And some of my tests indicate that if the emoji is something more on a happy, positive thought, or if it's connected to what you do, like a bathtub, or if you have a tow truck for a tower, or if you're open 24 hours, you're more likely to get that to stick. An example for this was, what was it? Long distance moving Boise. I think it was this one. So again, what did you boys and girls learn today? You can learn to get great CTR engagement from ads. Oh, bam, there it is. See that red heart?
Yeah, right.
That draws your eye, it draws your attention. And guess what that costs you? Nothing.
Yeah. So in this case, that's
Wow.
what is that, the fourth natural result I think you had on there? But if I'm
One,
scrolling on that
two,
page,
yeah, number four.
I
Number
mean,
four.
you're going to get a disproportionate amount of clicks being in the fourth spot with being attractive like that, right? Is the point you're trying
Yeah.
to make here, I think. So, and then over time, if you are getting all those clicks, Google's going to see that and start to bump you up as long as, you know, everything else is in
Yeah.
order there. I want to go back to something you were doing there, just to explain it to people if they didn't catch that. To be able to grab that emoji, like you're saying, if you don't know how do I type a heart emoji, just do a search for it, find a page with it online, copy paste straight in.
Slowly. No, it's called an emoji, right? And you can just go to, you know, any emoji website, and you can just find and copy it. But what I had done, I real slick, you can right click it or you can copy here. There's also something called Unicode, and sometimes the Unicode, you could drop it into the HTML. But most of your screen renders will pull the appropriate emoji, especially the more popular ones.
Now, when you're saying get it to stick, you mean Google not rewriting it, right?
It's and that
is
appropriate. That, yeah, right. To get it to stick, the best thing you can do is try to grab the emoji that is the most related to what you do.
And just to be clear, we're not saying this is like the secret trick. Don't go stuff a bunch of emojis in your titles, right? Like it has to be relevant, has to make sense. And I'm going to ask you some questions here, Keith, that maybe will tie it in about, you know, again, knowing your audience, what's making them happy, what's making it attractive for them. There has to be an alignment here of using the right text or emojis in your titles and your descriptions here. It's not just an emoji fest. That's not the point. So,
right.
Okay. Do you want to? I got a couple questions for you. Did you want to go any further with your copy?
No, I mean, I think that throw out some questions. I could obviously go on and on.
So I liked some of the stuff I've seen you do before, talking about, again, knowing your audience and knowing your user, whether it be getting into like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, what's their pain points, what's their fear points, what's the positives.
And you're right on it here. So I can just pull this up. The reality is, you know, when people are going to be happy with you, then they're going to be more likely to do business with you. So you need to then satisfy what they want. All right. How do you do that? Right. You have to know who that audience is. If you know it's a female who's more likely coming to your page, then you got to have the right words to tug on their heartstrings because you know it's a female, right? Also going into the human desires, we'll get to that. And then any of those powerful headlines and taglines. This was part of another presentation I gave that really went more in depth into CRO. But again, if you understand your customers' needs, then help satisfy their search, especially if you know they're like really into price. What are you going to say? Lowest price, best price, starting at 99, right? You need to know that if you're going to put that in your title and in your description. Then you can really go after, well, why are they coming to this page? What do they really want? And you can even, you know, play with that even on a homepage, right? Homepage does a lot for a customer's website, but you still have a general business focus. And so if you figure out why are they on that page, what do I want them to do, then you're going to be more likely to get them to actually do it. And again, that's all going to start from the first message they see, right? Even that billboard that's out on the highway is the first impression they got of you. What would you want to do? You would want to make sure that the words and the colors, and even if there's a human in that billboard, is also on your website because it's connected. Then they'll be like, oh, that's right. That is the attorney that I meant to call.
I like this because I think, again, when people are thinking SEO, get more exposure, you think about the on-page stuff or other factors, but I think it's so often overlooked what actually shows up when people do a Google search, which is, to your point, that's that billboard impression. That's that quick view. And if you're not attractive on that, as we were showing in your moving company example, if that number 4 ranked spot, if you're number 1 thinking we're good, I'm in number 1 spot, obviously my business is thriving. But if the people underneath you just have sexier, titles or descriptions and they're getting the clicks, you're missing a lot more than you realize. Your SEO was good, but you just weren't being attractive enough. Digging into the psychology of what words to use, why to use them.
Right.
For me, this is fascinating. And I think something that a lot of people listening are probably overlooking right now.
Well, it's the same principle, Jess, that carries over to the GMBs, where you can be in the 3-pack. In fact, you can be at the top of the 3-pack, right? But if you have no reviews, or the reviews you have are poor, or the volume of reviews that are very low, it's not going to matter. They're going to jump down to a better review count and a better quality review. And
Not just
the same principle. Is that correct? Or
yeah, I think totally.
It's very, very hard for the business owner when I ask them what makes you different. And they're going to say, well, I have a fair price and it's, I'm affordable and I'm honest and I show up on time. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I sure hope you do, right?
Right. These are all prerequisites, I assume.
Yeah.
So.
Right. This was Jake Sprinkler Landscape. And what we had done here, I'll just zoom in a little bit so we get this to pop off the page. Notice how we're really kind of pulling in the emotion. We're trying to sell landscaping. Every freaking landscaper does the same thing, right? But what is Jake selling here?
Fun.
No,
Exactly.
yeah. I mean, you look at the expression on her face. She's proud of her landscape. She loves to entertain, and he's selling an event and a reaction that these people have to the landscape.
And that is exactly what a professional should do for you. And what you, even as a small business owner, need to step outside of yourself and say, what does my customer really want in the end? Right. Oh yeah, they want dirt moved, they want grass planted, they want sprinklers. But why? It's because they want to be outside, right? And with COVID and this recovery, this is exactly what we went after by saying food tastes better, laughs are longer, discover your outdoor space. And by talking to this client, he's like, we're the only people who do these 3 things: sprinklers, edging, and landscaping. And I'm like, home run. You get it all in one call. That is what is going to make him different. And so sometimes you really have to think beyond the basics of what's a fair price and you're honest, you got good reviews. What does your customer really want, right? I might even be able to jump into it. We're having so much fun today. We're going to jump. Oh, here we go. We're going to jump over here. Why does Coke use friends and polar bears in their advertising?
I guess it shows social or, connecting with people, fun. That's the connotations it speaks to me, I suppose.
And what's special about bears, right? Oh, they're cute, they're cuddly. I mean, real polar bears, will rip your head off, right? But these bears, it's a family, right? Right. And even your friends, especially when you're a teenager, your family, it could be your mom and dad, but the people that you really love, that ties into that experience. So, oh, shoot. I don't know if I had an answer on that. Oh, I guess I had to answer it myself. Yeah, that Google really wants you to focus on the love and community. So now, every time that you are with your friends, you're then going to be more likely to be like, I think I need a Coke right now, right? Think about how heavily pushed Coke is when you go to the movies, right? It's the popcorn, it's your mouth is watering, you can taste the salt, the movie popcorn butter, and then your friends and the excitement of the flashes, right? It brings me back to 1977 and Star Wars, right? That is why Coke focuses on family and love, because of those human habits, right? If I'm having fun, maybe, if I want to see bikini girls at the pool, I should drink Coors Light, right? Because that's what some beer companies think I should do.
Well, again, I think this all speaks to the psychology of the marketing. It's not just the keywords, for the sake of a rank or whatever, but you have to speak to what people want. You can't just be generic, be an also ran. You have to be attractive, really, at the end of the day. Whether the cuddly is attractive or the bikinis are attractive, this is all depends on your audience. And again, speaking towards knowing them, right? What they're looking for, what makes them click or makes them choose is an important factor. And I think you're really underscoring that you just can't take that stuff for granted and throw it out there. How have you, Keith, if you can take a minute or two, for people sitting out there listening, kind of saying, yeah, this is light bulbs going off. I haven't done any of this. How do they maybe get some of this? Do they ask their clients or their customers? You talked about you can cheat, look at what people are doing in AdWords themselves. Can you speak for a couple of minutes towards how a business owner might take some action down this road?
Where and how, what to do? You're definitely going to want to probably go to your reviews, right? What are some of the words that people said in reviews? You may actually even have to just send a survey out.
Sure.
I would personally look at competition, because again, the big boys, if they're spending money and they're doing certain things, it could work for you too. My passion is advertising, marketing. I love Super Bowl commercials. I love looking at things and trying to even digest the psychology of why they do what they do, right? And with that all becomes the results. And one thing you can go into too is just truly understand, what are your human desires, right? Okay, well, I want comfort. I want convenience. I don't want to die, right? I want to live longer. I want to avoid that. People also want to feel special. That's why you can have a limited time offer and, only offered to veterans, or something that makes you unique. People want abundance, right? I want it all. Why do people go crazy over the toilet paper shortage, right? That's a weird psychology effect, that when there's less of something, humans want even more of it.
Right.
So you want that abundance. Sex appeal, clearly, right? And pleasure, right? We want to feel good. We want that massage. I want success, right? I want to have notoriety. I want to stay healthy, money, etc. So there's what many times you may need to do is talk to your salespeople, talk to people, even your receptionist, people who are outside of your inner circle, to get them to discover what makes you unique or different, right? And at the end of the day, you just may have to hire a consultant like me and say, I need to be something different, right? Yeah. I need to stand apart. You look at Apple Computer, classic, right? In the late 80s, they were think different. They were trying to work with you, the average consumer, that you didn't want the boring IBM computer. You wanted something more luxurious, and you want to think different and then get that psychological bond. Right. My greatest advice is focus on some sort of emotional reaction if you can. And that's why this was just an example with the Twin Falls, right? Where here's mom, she's happy, she loves to entertain, happy guests, and the headline just ties right in, because outside is just more fun.
Right.
Anyways.
No, we make decisions based off our own emotions, right? Okay, so you had mentioned earlier on, you were showing through the AdWords, you have this many impressions, this many clicks, here's your click-through rate. I think we should let everybody know if you're going to make some changes on your website. We've talked in previous episodes about Google Search Console. If anybody hasn't listened on those, just do a search on our page, look at how to set up, how to use Google Search Console. We've kind of got some basic walkthroughs there. But I think, Keith, correct me if I'm wrong, that's probably the best spot for them to go if they start changing their website. If they're not doing AdWords, right? If you're just changing the titles and descriptions in your website and like, okay, did this make a difference or not? Obviously, if you're tracking phone calls or getting form submissions, hopefully you're seeing some benefit there. But you can go in and you can check page by page, how has the changes I made last month or the month before. I mean, you're not going to do this like tomorrow, give it like
Sure.
one day. But over time, you can see if you are improving your click-through rate, correct?
Yeah. One of the only other challenges with just the raw data of Google Search Console is it can sometimes be averaged, and it's taking the old data with the newer data. So by getting Google Analytics or even just a simple tracker, a keyword tracker, you'll be able to see within a week or 2 weeks or however if the changes you made saw a greater impression. Right. You obviously want more clicks, so your actual clicks would go up on the Google Search Console. You might even see more impressions because now Google says, hey, we're going to show this to more people on that particular search. And anytime you make a change, especially off of your title and your description, I would probably wait definitely 10 to 14 days before doing anything else. And be very, very careful that you don't make any other changes on the page. It's better to do smaller increments unless your site is just a bit of a disaster, right? Because this is the other thing that can happen that Google does to you. Let's just go, we'll go do another search. So this is looking for gutters in Napa. This is a local city in my suburb in the Boise market. And sometimes what Google can do for you is let's say this is your company right here. Well, Google might actually test you, meaning you used to be down here, like number 3, number 4. They moved you to the top because why? Because you were getting clicks and they thought, okay, I think we're satisfying people. But now guess what happens? People are clicking and then they're not satisfied. Now, there's still a lot of debate in the marketing world about, well, they're tracking that? Like, how do they know, right? They have something that is called a bounce rate. You also can have an on time, meaning if I click into like this gutter page, if I don't find as a consumer what I want, I'll be like, no, this isn't for me, and I leave. That's part of a bounce rate. And so sometimes you do have to be careful about the changes you make and how you're monitoring it, because you might be clickbait out here, right? Woohoo, check this out. This is sexy. Yeah, that's what I want. And then suddenly they're like, oh, no, that's not what I want. Be aware of that your message, the first message, and then where you want them to go, make sure that they are cohesive.
And I think that's a good segue. We hope to have you on for future episodes. And you're starting to get into there, like conversion rate optimization, right? Then so click through is to go from the Google search to your website. Now from there, of course, you want them to turn into a client or a patron of some sort, which is going to be a whole nother topic. But I think the point you're speaking towards is this message has to stay consistent, right? Like if I'm looking for the happy landscaping solutions, if I hit a page that doesn't marry that same sentiment or things like that, I'm clicking back out. And then that's going to just sabotage everything we did there. So these thoughts, and I thought this was a great spot to start on the CTR. These thoughts about that psychology, the specific words and the language used and the emotions you're trying to kind of elicit. Start on the SERP, for the click-through rate. You need to carry over to your web page to convert to a client. Yeah. And then, of course, there's your future emails, nurturing, a lot of other stuff that should carry the same sentiment. And Again, this is just some great psychology mixed into SEO that hopefully a lot of you listen out there. Again, there's some light bulbs going off. You did mention earlier, Keith, and we're going to get to this at the end. If people do want to hire a professional, instead of doing this, like Bob, we always talk, there's free with a headache, right? You can take all the stuff Keith's showing you and you can spend your own time and energy going through this, hopefully get it right. Free with a headache, or there's headache free, which is going to cost you some money. Keith's got an offer that's going to be exclusive to everybody listening. We're going to give you a link where you can connect with him, get some CTR, consultation, feedback, and actually templates for your site here. That's going to be pretty slick. And again, Keith, we hope to have you on in the future to dive more into the psychology of these things that are past just this initial click.
And to me, it's just marketing, but you know, and it's good quality copywriting. It's also persuasive copyright, right?
I like that phrase. Yeah.
Using these power words to get you to bite on it, right? The word free, the word love, right? The get, you get it all, right? And one of the reasons why I started with AdWords is this is a place where you can quickly run ads and then test to see the results. And it's there, right? You're guaranteed to be rotating at the top of the page. When you start messing with the SERP, right? Okay, now I have challenges. Google's messing with you, and I'm not sure if this is working or if it's not working. The whole reason why you would ever spend the extra time on having the right title and the right description, you want them to click, but what do I want them to do, right? I want them to start here, right? I want them to click. I want them to go and call me, right? This is you. This is Jake. You're in business. You know, that is why you work with experts and to try to improve this, because you want more calls. You want to increase your business.
Yep. That's what it is. You're not just trying to get ranked or get clicks. You're trying to grow your business at the end of the day. I think that's a great tie-in. I got a couple more questions for you. So again, if people are listening or watching and the light bulb's going off and they're going to take action maybe for the first time on some of these topics. Now let's fast forward. Let's say they did that, whether they do it on their own, they engage with you or some other professional, but they've done this now as one wave. What is your opinion on, how often do you need to look at this? How often do you need to maybe reconnoiter what you are saying and evaluate this? Is this something quarterly, monthly, yearly? What advice would you give to people about staying on top of this going forward, not just a one-shot deal?
Probably quarterly. And the main thing that I would really try to pay attention to is, what is your customer, what your competitors advertising, right? Meaning, have they changed their words and their persuasive language and you're losing clicks, right? Can you make a minor change to your ad, or can you make just a minor change to your information to get more clicks? One thing that people really kind of overlook when you're making your description is it doesn't even have to be complete sentences, right? What does someone want on a bathtub, right? I want to make it new again. Well, that's the first thing we say, right? You can look at this and say, can I make that any shorter, right? Oh, look at this. It even tells you if I just take a picture and then send it to them, I'm going to get a quote.
Right.
They focus on speed, right? People want it fast. They want it easy. We give them more information. Oh, and look at, well, actually, that's the modified version, isn't it? The can I call now and get it free? That's not real. That's not on the real one. But that's
still
a tricky
good.
way,
Still good.
Right, to get people's attention. Things you can do, even like this. That's two different characters, the letter A and the space. If I just said refinish, in day, or is there another way I can say refinish in a day faster and shorter
Right.
because every little space counts. And by utilizing, even if I dropped out that period, and if I put in an extension on that, or, we draw in the I with asterisk, you really have to kind of monitor. I would even listen to radio and television and listen to what is being offered, and then always kind of come back and say, can I tweak it? Can I make it better? Can I make it better? But one of the best ways, clearly, is actually with ads, because you're now boldly getting your message in front of them. And what did we discover on this denture ad? We discovered that by saying save 15% rather than only 365, the other ad got way more clicks.
Right. And I think to your topic earlier about Google, if you're working on your website, Google can rewrite your titles and descriptions, if they decide to, right? There's some mystery as to how, why, when, or whatever. AdWords, though, to your point here, you're in complete control. It's going to be exactly what you say. You can even set it up, kind of some A/B or even ABC testing. I want these 3 ads in equal rotation. I want to test these different headlines. This is a great idea. It's going to cost you a little bit of money because you got to run the ad, right, and get some clicks. So be cognizant maybe of what your keyword is and how much the clicks are. But what a great way to test explicit titles and descriptions and kind of find out what combinations work better quickly and really within your complete control. So
yeah,
that's a great.
I was just
great tip.
doing a search for plumbing because plumbers is very competitive, right? And so I just wanted to see, we might have to do something more generic. What you want to do at home as you're playing along here, find a search that has a lot of ads, because you really want to see all kinds of messages, and do not be afraid to go out and search in another location. Okay.
Right.
Now you need to understand something. Smart people like me and Jesse, we might not put your ad there. Well, why is that? Well, that's because Keith Evans is in Boise right now. And a smart marketer knows I don't want Keith to see my ad. However, these are great ways to learn from your competitors, and then you just do it better. So even as we go, just take a look at this one, which is just a straight plumbing, right? Now, remember, you're not going to get, you will get your website address in here, but right away, and this is another thing too, let's take away the bold because that can kind of throw you off. $50 off plumbing repairs, 4 words right in the beginning, right? Call for service today. Hey, guess what? I know how we can make that better. Call now, right? And even an exclamation point. Or you can even lead this in with, whoops, not that guy, this guy.
Right.
Call now. Now, this is kind of weird, local business. You might be able to shorten this and say, local plumbers, Denver. And you could maybe even do CO. As you notice, we are cutting this down further and further and further. What does it also allow you to do? It allows you to hide things. I wouldn't say hide, but at the end of your ad, you could say Boulder. You could say Aurora. These are all suburbs. And I apologize to any Aurora people. I don't know how to spell. I'm working marketing. You could put some of the other geos that you do. What else do you notice in here that they're not really saying, right? You could put in drain cleaning, hot water replace, right? Just by saying that in just short little keywords, this is what happens. If I search hot water replace, now this is a total test. Watch out. Watch out, baby. what happens is Google is now going to highlight water heater. See how it shows Denver down here? And then it says install. Aha. You don't have to use the word install. You can just use the word replace. But then you can even get smarter and say, well, wait a minute. Well, replace is 7 words. And install is also 7 words. Damn it. You know, can we do it shorter, right? That's the tricky way that you quickly get your message, because that's exactly what Google is doing, right? It's looking at all of these little bolded words. See this, Todd's water heater repair. Now that's part of Yelp. Well, that's probably a bad example. This one really was a good example. Has their brand, Brothers Plumbing. It then showed Denver, water heaters, we install right there. Go down a little bit further to Applewood Fix It. This is a little wordy. Plumber fixing heating. Okay, well that's
good effort, but
good effort, right? You probably would have been better with a capital P. You know, they could have even said we fix. That might have been better. I have a feeling I know what this is from. Do you know? I think I know what that is.
Do tell.
That is probably from an alt image. Do you want to go test and see? Let's see how smart Keith is. Every image on your website, okay, has alt information. And one thing that Google has been doing has been pulling some of the words from the alt. So what I just did, and this is way beyond you guys, but I'm just going to show you how wizardy Keith is, right? We're going to go down here. What did it say? Did I copy it?
Was it
Plumber
fixing?
Oh, winner, chicken dinner, right there.
Well, I think this is interesting as you're showing this for everybody. I think people sometimes think when Google rewrites your titles and descriptions that if they rewrite your description, they're going to pull like this, congruent paragraph or a couple sentences you had. It's like, no, you're showing here. They're just pulling 3 words out of your alt tag, adding that into a description. Like they're almost writing the custom sentences themselves, right? From different bits on your site. Dude,
that could not have been any better. That was not planned, right? But that's when you as a business owner are so like, oh my gosh, these guys know what the hell they're doing, right? Yeah, because this is and I know a little bit more about what's going on here. What had happened is, you see this paragraph right here. What's it talking about? Hot water heaters. What is the closest photo? This photo right here. And then it says plumber fixing heating. Well, this was sort of a semi-dumbass SEO who didn't really describe what the picture was. He just said plumber fixing heating. If we actually opened it up, oh yeah, he's doing a little bit more than that, isn't he? He's actually, fixing the hot water heater. Right. They would be better to do that, because now it would say that on the, is that it? Yeah, it would say that on the actual description. And that's what you searched. And that's what you would want to click on, right? Oh my gosh, we are solving the world's problems. Where's the cigars? Get the brandy, come on.
Hey, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it.
Guess what else do you think Google knows about this picture? Bom, 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 bom.
Are we going into the AI recognition of the water heater?
I would say, yeah, I think that's what's going on here. Whoa, that was a terrible. That little square right there is very common on hot water heater tanks all across North America. Google knows enough that they probably recognize these graphics and logos. They can say that's probably a cylinder because of the shading and as a 3D photo. They're probably guessing that this is a hot water tank. They know that that's a human, male or female, hard to say. They can see that he is doing something with a wrench, but even if this said hot water, or master router or some other main brand, that's another way that connects to your brand.
Right.
These are all the slick little ways that me and Jesse rule the world.
Yeah, it's just the two of us. There's nobody else that can call for any of this.
Yes,
I think this is great previews for everybody too. Again, all these things make such a difference. It's not just picking a few keywords, slapping them on a page, or any secret magic trick. It is a lot of little things that add up to get ranked, to get the clicks, to get them to convert. Yeah, I think you're dropping some great nuggets for everybody. Again, I'll tell everybody, if you're listening, go back, watch the version on YouTube, fast forward to certain parts you found, whatever. Pretty much this whole time, Keith's been sharing his screen, walking through examples,
and this
on the
is
screen. So
yeah, where this is pure live, right? So like anything can happen. But this is the cool thing. Within minutes, we're figuring this out. And that is exactly why take a serious look at the offer I'm going to extend to you guys, because I'm not going to offer it to anyone else. It's a special lower price. And, I'm not working out in New York City or Denver or San Diego. I'm working out of my mom's basement. So, I'll give you a deal. Okay.
it's actually his wife's basement, not his mom's basement, so everybody knows.
Yeah.
But no, I think we'll get to the offer in just a second. Before we do that, I just want to kind of frame this up for everybody. So I asked you earlier, and Bob, we ask this question all the time on these things, like how often should I do this? What's the frequency? The other side, Keith, just for general, like this is local business serving their backyard, right? Your landscape, it's your plumbers. This is not for Target, right? Or Walmart. Can you give everybody an idea how much investment they should put into this, right? Whether that be time investment, actual maybe financial investment to professionals, tools, staff to do it. Is this something people should expect to drop, $50, $5,000? What's your opinion on investing into, when we're talking not SEO, right? But
Right.
the click through, the CRO we'll get into later, but just the psychology of these things for your presentation, for your upfront sexiness. What's your opinion on investing and getting the ROI on that?
It's one of those things that it's worth it for sure, especially when you get great value. And it's always going to be changing though, right? So if you just seem like you're just too busy, I would say, look at Saturday morning, take 60 minutes and really go out and just start looking at your competitors and look at everything you love what they do. Not really what they don't, right? What makes them better. And then it may take a creative person like me, right, to step out and come up with like the Twin Falls sprinkler, right? Whoa, I screwed that up. Yeah. This investment that Jake spent, he only had to spend it one time, right? Oh, and sure, it might have been, $500 to get a logo and to get his, his main benefit statement and to improve the CRO. But guess what? He will plant that seed and it's multiplying, because we don't really have to dramatically change this a lot. Because for one reason, in the landscaping world, there's not gigantic different changes in landscaping, right? It's pretty straightforward. But what we wanted to do with Jake was, no. Everyone else is here. Jake is up here. We needed to separate that. And honestly, it's once you work with a pro, or even if you just take the few hours and the time and say, okay, I think I figured it out. It's really going to help your business easily for a year. There's no doubt about it. So the more important thing I would look at is, do you have a season to your business? Is there a time where you have to have more of a competitive advantage? Well, then, you better sit down and writing down some ideas and do some research and start figuring it out. Because once you get the right message out there, then you just run it all the time. Some of these ads for this particular client, We just do a few tweaks and we let it run, right? Now, this was a particular sale that the client was running, but he even told me yesterday, he's like, I'm going to run that until it stops working, right? So work smarter, not harder in these kinds of situations.
Always good advice. Doesn't matter what you're doing. I think, Keith, I was at a mastermind recently with you, and multiple people, I think you yourself, were trying to claim the title of laziest, SEO, laziest, whatever it is. But the joke was, it's not being lazy, it's being smart and efficient, right?
Sure.
Is the overall deal. And I think that's always great advice for everybody is don't spin your wheels, and recognize when you're in a spot where you do need professional help, right? If this could take somebody with knowledge a short amount of time, but it's taking you multiple weekends, phone a friend, call in support. Actually, a great segue to talk about the offer here that you're talking about being generous. Just to reframe for everybody too, I wanted Keith to come on because of what I've learned from him, right? I'm not a rookie at this, but still, Keith is way out there ahead, especially in the CRO, CTR type space, the psychology. We've benefited. I hope everybody else out there can benefit too. He's putting together a package. So Keith, you've got an exclusive offer for our audience. We talked about this kind of before we came on. Usually $250 or even more, right? $197. People can opt in for $197. They're going to get you to do 5 pages of CTR. Look at their pages. What are they trying to target? What's the MO? You'll have to trade some emails and get some context. But then you'll tell them, here's the title, here's the description, here's the sexy words, here's what you got to do in these 5 pages. We're not talking about hardcore all the way CRO and SEO on your website, to be clear with everybody. But if you want Keith to jump in, work on 5 of your pages on your website, probably like your homepage and some of your primary service pages, to do some of this analysis. What should you do? What should you change? And how can you get more clicks? $197, which is a fantastic deal, even if you just break it down per hour. I don't know how you're going to make any money doing this, but it's a great deal for everybody. Go to
you see how fast I am. So
right.
Usually in the bedroom I try to slow down. At leleast my wife says so. So it's a balance.
Time is money in that regard. There, there's nothing.
I'm fast at some things, slower at other things.
Where it counts. So go on out if you want to connect with Keith. Take advantage of this offer for $197 CTR and 5 pages of your website. Just for our audience, go to localseotactics.com/CTR offer, all one word. We'll even do it. If you put a hyphen in there, we'll make sure that works for you too. Whatever. You can't screw this up. localseotactics.com/CTR offer. Fill out the quick form. We just want to know your name, email, your website. Keith will get in touch with you to vet out the pages that you want and kind of give you some context what he's going to need to make this smooth, and knock your socks off with some great CTR and start getting you more business. So anything you want to add on that, Keith, what they should expect? Or
no, the reality is I'm definitely going to spend more than an hour with you, or at least in my time. And I'm going to give you the biggest bang for the buck. So if I don't see a lot of things that I can improve, we'll look at some other solutions. Or if you need even help with a benefit statement or a main headline, we have to look at that, because remember, what was this entire show about? Click-through rate. We're trying to entice people, but you must have something that's enticing for them to want to click. And that's exactly what I'll do. We'll pull that out of you for sure.
Yeah. No, I think anybody, if you've had these light bulb moments in this episode and there's some things that you're thinking of here, for $197 to engage with Keith on this and start the process, I think it's going to be spectacular for you. So thanks for jumping on, Keith. If you can stick around, I'm going to read our review. Every episode, we read a review that people send in for the podcast, whether it's off our Facebook, GMB, whatever it is, Apple Podcasts, just to give shout outs to people and let everybody know that we do read and receive this feedback. We love getting reviews from everybody. Lets us know we're doing a good job.
Woo!
Yes, exactly. If you're out there listening and you haven't left us a review, and if you think we're bringing good value, having people like Keith on to really get your brain thinking, go on out to localseotactics.com, go down to the bottom, click the link for reviews. We've got buttons for Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Facebook, GMB, whatever it is. We'll take your review wherever you want to throw it at us. If you do that, we're going to give you a shout out on the show and read it. We got one here this episode from Simon Portillo. Says, I love your podcasts. I've gained so much from them. Thank you. Love to hear your thoughts on Google's dictionary of how it brings up the local pack when it believes to have identified the search's intent with the local business. Merry Christmas, Simon. All right, Simon, we've been sitting on your review for a while because this is September, and you said Merry Christmas. Appreciate that. Sorry it took so long to get to it here. And you actually bring up a great question. Maybe we'll address that in a future episode here. It's a pretty good topic. But aside from that, appreciate you leaving the review, Simon. We do read these, we do get them, and it does make our heart nice and warm. Keith, before we sign off, I should ask too, if people want to get a hold of you outside of the exclusive offer, right? I know they can find you on UpHero.
My brand is the UpHero.net, the only UpHero. That's why I came up with such a silly name. And it's over on this side. So you can email me, call me. I actually answer the phone, talk to people. I don't mind talking to salespeople because I can actually learn from them. Maybe they actually have something to sell me. But primarily what I do is I build websites for customers. I really heavily focus on ranking them into the map and that SEO off the organic. And I just try to make it affordable, right? And that's what people want.
Right. No, great insights and good stuff. Appreciate you coming on, sharing with everybody, and looking forward to future episodes. If people have questions about this episode or future stuff with Keith to kind of pick his brain, go on to localseotactics.com, scroll down the bottom, click the button for questions, just send it on in. Like I said, we're going to try to get Keith on down the road, and we'll ask him whatever questions you have and relay and dig into some more of this. This is going to be great stuff for everybody. Bob, thanks for jumping in on this one, hanging out. Hopefully we both learned some stuff from Keith that we can take action on as well. Keith, again, thanks for your time jumping on, and looking forward to working with you more in the future. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys. Nice meeting you, Bob.
We'll see you.
All right, everybody. We'll catch you in the next episode. Take care.